How to know yourself. What if I told you that the person you think you know best might actually be a stranger? Think about it. You've lived with yourself every day, every hour, every second since birth. Yet when I ask you, who are you? Most answers sound like this. I'm a teacher. I'm a father. I'm 29 years old. I live in New York. But none of that is really you. That's your resume. Those are roles, costumes, addresses. What about the part of you that exists even when the titles are stripped away? The part of you that feels, doubts, craves, hides? That's what this film is about. For the next 10 minutes, we are going to go on a journey through psychology, philosophy, and real stories to help you finally meet the person behind the mask, yourself. 1. The illusion of self. From the moment you were born, mirrors surrounded you. Not glass mirrors, but human ones, parents, teachers, friends, culture. Each reflected back an image of who you were supposed to be. When you smiled, they said you were sweet. When you cried, maybe they said you were dramatic. When you got good grades, you were called smart. Over time, you started building an identity out of those reflections. But here's the problem. Mirrors can distort. Imagine walking into a carnival funhouse. One mirror stretches you tall. Another makes you wide. Another twists your face. You laugh because you know it's not real. But in real life, we often mistake those distorted reflections for the truth. So when a parent says, "You're not creative," you might carry that label for decades. When a teacher says, "You're gifted," you might live under the pressure of always proving it. This is the first great illusion. We think we know ourselves, but much of what we know is borrowed. It's not discovery, it's inheritance. So if the self is built from distorted mirrors, what's real underneath? 2. The hidden filters. 3 invisible filters shape how you see yourself. And until you learn to recognize them, you'll always be stuck in a fog. Filter 1. Conditioning. Conditioning is the voice in your head that doesn't belong to you. It's made of rules and beliefs planted early. Be tough. Don't cry. Success equals money. People like us don't do things like that. It's a script you didn't write, but you perform it every day. Filter 2. Comparison. You open Instagram. Someone looks happier, richer, fitter. You immediately adjust your sense of self-worth. Comparison makes identity elastic. You stretch or shrink depending on who you're standing next to. Filter 3. Ego defense. This is the mask. The stories we tell to protect ourselves. I don't care what people think. I'm not jealous. I'm fine. These are shields, not truths. The ego builds them to avoid pain. Think of a person who was told as a child that they were lazy. Even if they grow up successful, they might still feel guilty resting, afraid they'll be exposed as a fraud. That's the filter of conditioning. Think of the high achiever who looks confident but secretly compares every achievement to others. That's the filter of comparison. Think of the friend who insists they're never jealous, yet seethes quietly. That's ego defense. Filters keep us safe, but they also keep us blind. Reflection exercise. Let's pause here. Grab a notebook if you can. Write down one belief you hold about yourself. Maybe it's I'm not creative. I'm independent. I'm shy. I'm ambitious. Now ask, where did this belief come from? Was it a parent? A teacher? A moment of failure? A compliment? Notice how much of your identity has roots outside yourself. This is the first step to peeling back the filters. The self beyond roles. We live inside roles. Student, partner, worker, parent, even rebel is a role. But here's the truth. Roles are costumes. They're useful, but they're not essence. If every role disappeared, if tomorrow your job vanished, your family moved away, your titles dissolved, who would remain? The answer to that question is the beginning of self-knowledge. It doesn't mean abandoning your roles. It means not mistaking them for your identity. A doctor is more than medicine. A mother is more than motherhood. You are more than the mask you wear. So if you're not your roles, and not your borrowed filters, what are you? To answer that, we need tools, practical ways of meeting yourself directly. In the next chapter, we'll explore powerful tools of self-discovery. Not theories, but practices. Methods anyone can use to sit face-to-face with themselves without distortion. Silence, story mapping, shadow work, experiments with identity. These tools will take us deeper, not into who you've been told you are, but into who you truly are. So let's begin. 3. Tools of self-discovery. To know yourself, you need a mirror that isn't warped. Over centuries, thinkers, healers, and scientists have created tools that reveal pieces of the self. They aren't quick fixes. They require courage, because to see yourself clearly is to face truths you may have been running from. Let's begin with the first tool, silence. Step 1. Silence and awareness. Most people fear silence, not because it's empty, but because in silence, the noise inside finally grows loud enough to hear. 10 minutes a day. That's all it takes. Sit without screens, without music, without voices. Just you and a notebook. Ask yourself one simple question. What am I feeling right now? At first, answers will be vague. I don't know. I'm bored. I feel restless. But stay longer, and the real voice emerges. You'll notice patterns of thought, desires you suppress, anxieties you distract yourself from. The truth is this: silence is not empty. Silence is a mirror, and most people avoid it because they're afraid of what they'll see. Step 2. Life story mapping. The second tool is mapping your life story. Take a sheet of paper. Draw a line from birth to now. Mark the highs, the moments you felt alive, proud, joyful. Then mark the lows, the heartbreaks, failures, losses. Now, look for patterns. What kind of events brought you meaning? Which ones crushed you? This map is not just history. It's a mirror of your values. If your high points involve helping others, contribution may be central to who you are. If your low points all involve betrayal, loyalty may be your core value. Your story is not random. It's a coded message waiting for you to decode. Step 3. Defining your values. Here's the next tool: clarifying your values. Most people think they know their values: family, honesty, success. But when tested, their lives often contradict them. Write down 5 things that matter most to you. Now, test them. Does your calendar, your bank account, your daily energy actually align with these values? If you write health but never move your body, it's not a value. It's a wish. If you write family but spend every evening on your phone, it's not a value. It's a mask. True values are not what you say. They are what you live. 4. Shadow work and identity. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate." The shadow is the part of yourself you reject. The envy, the anger, the laziness, the desire for control. You hide it, deny it, bury it, but it never disappears. It leaks out in resentment, in judgment of others, in self-sabotage. To know yourself, you must face your shadow. Here's how. Write down the qualities in others that trigger you the most. Maybe it's arrogance. Maybe it's weakness. Maybe it's dishonesty. Now ask, do I carry this too? Even in a small way? The answer, if you're honest, is usually yes. This is not about shaming yourself. It's about wholeness. Because knowing yourself is not just knowing the light. It's knowing the darkness you carry and choosing not to let it control you. Now let's talk about identity as an experiment. Too many people freeze themselves in one label. I'm shy. I'm logical. I'm a failure. I'm the funny one. But identity is not a statue. It's clay. Try new roles. Learn a skill. Travel somewhere alone. Speak when you'd normally stay quiet. Stay silent when you'd normally talk. Each experiment gives you feedback. This feels like me. This doesn't. The path to knowing yourself is not only thinking, it's testing, living, trying, failing. You discover your shape by moving through the world. 5. Advanced self-knowledge. Across history, humans have wrestled with this question. Who am I? The Greeks said, know thyself, that wisdom begins with self-awareness. The Buddhists said the self is an illusion, that freedom comes when you stop clinging to it. Neuroscience today says the self is a process, not a fixed thing, a pattern of brain activity constantly rewriting itself. So, can you ever fully know yourself? The answer is both yes and no. You can never freeze the self into a final definition, but you can learn its language. You can learn how it moves, what it values, where it hides, what it longs for. And that knowledge is enough to transform your life. 6. The payoff. When you begin to know yourself, life changes. Decisions become clearer. You stop chasing what doesn't matter. Criticism stings less. You realize it hits the role, not your essence. Relationships grow deeper because you show up authentically, not through masks. Most of all, you find freedom. Freedom from autopilot. Freedom from living someone else's script. Freedom to live in alignment with who you really are. Knowing yourself is not a one-time discovery. It is a lifelong friendship. And the more honest that friendship becomes, the more alive your life will feel. So, take one of today's exercises: silence, mapping, values, shadow work, and do it tonight. Meet yourself. Not the roles, not the labels, not the mask. The real you, waiting beneath it all. And when you do, you'll realize you were never really a stranger to yourself. You were just waiting to be seen. This is the beginning. The rest is up to you. Most people live their whole lives as strangers to themselves. Don't let that be your story. Take 10 minutes today, just 10, to sit in silence, map your story, or write down the shadow you've been hiding. That single step is the start of finally meeting the real you. If this resonated, share your biggest self-discovery in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into human nature and psychology, hit subscribe and stay with us, because the journey doesn't end here. It's only just beginning.